Hi everyone, happy Thanksgiving. I just wanted to share a little activity that you can do with your kids to keep them occupied on Thanksgiving while you're getting ready, or maybe busy on one of the several days that they are off from school after Thanksgiving, and it's educational, STEAM related. So all you need is a piece of bread, just plain bread. This one is whole wheat, but it can be white as well, or a cracker, so you could grab one off the charcuterie board, and you're just going to have them take a bite and chew it for as long as they can. You can make it a little challenge for them, see how long they can chew it before actually swallowing it. It does get a little gross, but they should notice a difference in the taste, so ask them to make observations on the taste and the texture too as they're chewing. And once they find that they have some changes there, have them tell you them, or you can have them write them down if you want. In part 2, I'll share the chemistry of what is going on as they start digesting this. And in part 3, I'll give you some ideas for some experiments they can do, something they can do to learn a little bit more about what's going on, to keep them occupied even longer for you. Alright, later Gators. Okay, so if you did the bread or cracker challenge in part 1, you should have noticed that it started to get sweeter. If you didn't, try it again and try to chew it even longer. I know it's tricky, it is a challenge. But I'm going to explain a little bit about the biology and chemistry of what is going on. So, the bread or the cracker is made up of starch, which comes from plants. And starch is basically a long chain of glucose molecules. In your mouth, you have something called amylase. It's an enzyme that helps cut those starch chains into smaller pieces until you end up with sugars. And it keeps breaking it down until you get glucose, which you've probably heard of. And so you are tasting those sugars as you are starting to break this down. So you're starting digestion right there as you start chewing it. It's two things. It's you mechanically chewing it and breaking it down, and also the chemical reaction of the amylase helping you break down the starch into sugars. If you haven't learned about glucose and atoms and molecules and chemical reactions, here's a quick little visual using Legos. So let's pretend each one of these Legos is a glucose molecule, and they're all connected in this long chain. This is our big, long starch molecule. We cannot get anything from this, and the goal of eating is to get nutrients. So we need to break this down to something that our body can digest and get nutrients from. So it starts when we start chewing our bread or crackers. We're breaking down the starch. The amylase helps speed up the reaction of breaking this chain down. So it's going to start breaking these into smaller pieces. I have to do this one-handed until we've got our glucose that our body can then use to get energy from. Okay, so if you've done the bread or cracker digestion challenge and you want some ways to extend this activity for you or your kids, here are a few ideas of what you could do. Especially if this is during Thanksgiving when you have all your family around, you could test this out on different relatives and time them and see how long it takes for them to taste the sweetness. This will tell you how much amylase they have in their saliva. You might look for patterns, like if immediate families have similar times, or do compare like the one generation to the next. There are a lot of different variables you can look at. A second thing you can do is try different foods and see if they take different amount of times to turn sweet. Remember, it does have to have starch in it in order for the amylase to take effect. And then the last thing is, that's just the first part of digestion happening in your mouth there. Once you swallow it, there's a lot more going on, so you can do some research on that and learn more about what happens as the bread and crackers move through your body. So let me know if you think of any other ideas, and I will see you guys later. Later, Gators.